following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back talking New York City sports in the zone and other things. I'm Ralph Tyko, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The two men from the Mets show are here, Marty Rose and Robert Cole. Start with you, Robert Cole. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Good.
Considering.
You're healthy?
Yes.
All right. Considering it all, we're both, you, me, and Mert, both in, all three of us in states with rising cases of the virus.
Yes.
And this is just in the last few days. Alarmingly, an increase in since Memorial Day beyond belief, and it comes at a time when the states are opening up, and you got to wonder, are they doing it too soon? And I'm afraid, but what are you going to do? Let's talk a little ball or perspective football to lighten it up, get in the candy store of life a little bit. How are you doing, Mert?
Doing well, Ralph. Very good. Beautiful day today. Usually we have afternoon rain, but not today. It was beautiful all day. Went to the pool for an hour. It was gorgeous. And, since they opened it, they are closing it down for 3 hours, different times of the day, to clean it every day, like between 12 and 1, 3 and 4, 6 and 7, just
nice.
To clean it. Yeah. So they keep it in good shape, and they have limited to, I think, 39 people since it reopened, and it's great. Right across the street, I'm there in 2 minutes. I walk out the door, I'm in the pool in less than 5 minutes. So.
Kind of nice. When I think of when we were kids, Mert, growing up, we'd go from Queens to Brooklyn to Rockaway. 3 trains, 9 buses, a helicopter. A donkey used to have to come in to transport us. It literally took us 2.5 hours to get to the beach.
Yeah, and then you got all your stuff set up, and then 5 minutes later you were packing back up to go the other direction.
Right.
You actually had from Queens, you had to go into Manhattan, and then back through Brooklyn and back to Queens again. Yeah, it took forever. It was awful. But then there was a bus also. If you got off at what was it, Jamaica Avenue? I think there was a Triborough bus, maybe for 75 cents that took.
I don't remember taking that. I remember taking the tubes and coming out.
Yep.
We get up really early in the morning, and we get there just about the time, about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, when the sun was breaking. And you know what made me think about it this week, and we're going to come back to baseball. On YouTube, they have broadcasts, as you guys well know, this is for the audience, of old baseball games, the Mets, the Yankees, 62, 61, 58. I've been listening to a series, a doubleheader. First game, Detroit against the Yankees. Second game, naturally, Detroit against the Yankees. Mossy against Ford in one of the games. Terry against Bunning in another one of the games. These were the games in 61 that you and I, Mert, used to listen to at that very same Rockaway Beach.
Yeah.
And we have a doubleheader with Charlie Maxwell hitting a home run in at least one of those Sunday games every Sunday. And the thrill for me in listening to it was 3 innings of Mel Allen, 3 innings of Red Barber, and 3 innings of Phil Rizzuto. Oh my God, what great announcing! Listening to it today, the articulation, just the descriptions of things, of rules and what have you. Those 3 guys were absolutely the best in the business. I mean, I fall in love with the announcers that we have on a. I had a whole bunch of Lonnie Simmons out here in San Francisco, and Bill
Hodges.
King, Russ Hodges. They were all great, but those 3 doing a game, Mel Allen, Red Barber, and Phil Rizzuto, you get different slants from each of them. And on my walk.
The beach blankets were so close together that you could, everybody has the same station on, basically. You know, you could hear the ball game all over the place. Or whatever music station was on. It was so crowded.
Mert, you and I would sit for a while, and then we'd go out and play long toss with the Spalding. Remember that?
Sure.
And then we swim for a while, come back on the blanket, listen to the radio. That was a good way to grow up. Early June, July.
That time at Rockaway Beach down there in the 30s, they had restaurants and rides, and now there's nothing there. Well, now I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the last time I was there, that stuff was long gone, along with all the bungalows that used to be out there. Long gone. Yeah.
My Uncle Boris owned a bungalow on Beach 20, about a block from the beach. And those things, as you say, are long gone. Yep. I know they had to rebuild the boardwalk if the skeet ball and all that shit was just made a ton of bucks and was summer entertainment. Did you go to Rockaway, Robert? Or where'd you go? You went to Jones Beach, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, when I was really small, when we were still living in Brooklyn, we went to Rockaway Beach and we went to Coney Island. But after we moved to Long Island, Jones Beach was the big thing.
Yeah, when we were old enough to drive, we used to go to Jones Beach all the time. West End, too. It was huge. Had a small parking lot and a huge beach. Huge. I mean, you could put your blanket down, not 100 feet, not near anybody.
Well, depends on the day.
Well, that's true. But West End, too, is gigantic, and the waves at Jones Beach were really, really big. Wow. Enjoyed that.
Hey, guys, I'll start with you. Robert, are we going to have baseball?
No.
Art?
I don't think so either. I mean, they just...
It's unanimous.
The union just turned down, the latest offer was 72-game season, and the union turned it down, as they've turned down every other proposal since the negotiations started. So, no, I would say no.
Everything is gearing up for the next collective bargaining agreement or fiasco, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, what the players have done, the players said that we're not making a counteroffer. Tell us when the season's going to start, where we have to report, and let's get going. Well, the reason why they're doing that, and the league's not giving them a starting date, is as soon as the league gives them a starting date and the amount of games, the players' union is immediately going to go to court and say that it's a conflict of the contract that they agreed to at the end of March. So that's what this is all about right now. And nobody's going to give in. Major League Baseball is not going to give them a date because they know that as soon as they do, they're going to wind up in court.
Well, what happens when the owners decide there's no season and the owners decide, well, everybody's got to live up to their 2020 contract in 2021, and then they go to court on that, and this next season's held up.
Well, and that's why, have your fights now, piss on each other, get it done now, and hopefully they can come to an agreement before next season.
Yeah. Well, another thing, the owners can just put their feet up, too. And it's the players. The time is ticking on the players because they're getting older.
Right.
They're sitting around. They got a limited number of years that they're going to be making money here. So the pressure's going to be back on them.
And they don't mind taking a fan's dream and throwing it in the toilet. Old folks like us, and I'm not complaining, how many more times are we going to have a chance to see a DeGrom and an Alonso come, that kind of stuff coming in? Yeah. Cy Young Award winners, Rookie of the Year, home run records and stuff.
Yeah.
What do they care?
Yeah.
They don't care about the fans and the continuity of it all, and maybe the possibility of bringing back a Cologne or what have you, or seeing what Cespedes could do. And, you spend 50 years following a team, you want to see what's going to happen.
Sure.
Our main recreation, as I see it in the three of us, is following this stuff during the summer, having the game on the radio, talking about it, reading about it, that's our lives.
Every night. Yeah.
Exactly.
Every night in the summer. Absolutely.
And then the winter, looking forward to it, looking at lists of prospects, who they drafted, and all this stuff. It becomes, for a real fan, which they've hooked us into, developed the fandom and all this stuff, and then to take it away because they're having a squabble among multimillionaires and millionaires. I'm appalled. I'm insulted. I mean, if I spend $25 on a $2 cap, for instance, because it has NY on it, and I bought 20 caps over a lifetime, you know what I mean? They got us coming and going. The shirt says the extra that you pay for having the official colors and what have you is they got us in every way. From baseball cards to official this and official that, and for them to not want to put the product on the field, if they could do it during the fucking war, World War II, because they knew how much it meant to the spirit of America to keep it going, and they don't think this is a war that needs recovering from what we got going with the virus. More people have died from this than in Vietnam, or all these crazy stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind of surprised that, and I fully expected that the owners would try to put a season together using minor league players. And,
I read your post about that, and I don't remember responding, but I don't think that would fly. Let's put it that way. And then again, you could see the player's standpoint. Do they want to risk life and limb? They want to have be on a ventilator to play a game. I think the country was open too soon. We talked about that a little off the air, and both of the states that we live in have these dramatic rises in sickness, and which is ultimately going to transcend to deaths, just for the financial stake of trying to keep the economy together. And I could see that too. It's a real screwed up situation.
Yeah, and there's, my biggest bitch, you guys probably read about it, on Facebook and stuff, is people not wearing masks. I mean, it's proven over and over again that it works. That the great thing, that great little cartoon that I put in, and I think Pete Trunk put in, about two guys standing next to each other and they're nude, and one guy takes a piss. Okay, neither one has pants on, so naturally that gets all over the other guy. Now, if the other guy's wearing pants, okay, it'll protect him somewhat. But if both guys are wearing pants and the guy takes a piss, okay, he's pretty well protected. So, and that little simple cartoon, illustrates it, and that's exactly what it is. And people refuse because now it's become a political thing.
Yeah, and that's something I don't understand, because the logical politics of the old days, when a Democrat was simply a little left of a Republican and vice versa, Republican a little right of a Democrat. Now it's gotten to the point of we're polarized to the point of nobody wants to deal with each other, and the only thing left for the Democrats is to get out the vote, and we will once again be left with the lesser of two evils. Biden, although much better than Trump, is basically a centrist Democrat who's going to give you an allegiance to the drug company and an unwillingness to get fair wages, minimum wage. So that means the two most important things to people, as I see it, who are working for a living, fair wages and health care that won't bankrupt them if they were in a position where they didn't have, thank God, you and I, Mert, we have the government, we have the Air Force to take care of us. If the worst happens, our families won't have to go bankrupt. That's not true of a majority of the people. Mm-hmm. The co-payments will bankrupt you. And if you're working for a living all those years and you're bankrupt by insurance that isn't paying, and you're paying for the insurance, that's disgraceful.
Yeah, I wonder what it's costing people. These people that are in the hospital on a ventilator for 2 weeks and they recover, maybe they'd be better off dead when the bill comes in.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering.
And what they're not saying, how about you get off the ventilator or you become sick and then become not sick? What are the effects, the day-to-day effects? Yeah. You're not dead, but your lungs aren't the same. Your mortality is affected. Nobody talks about that. They just talk about get the economy started again. Go to the beach, open up the beach and sit there, and they have guys on CNN. They have these guys, kids that are interviewed with no real respect for life.
No. And then this Republican convention they're going to have in Jacksonville, they plan on having it in a regular arena with 15.
They're asking people to sign a waiver that if they get it. Now, if you're stupid enough to sign to go there and sign a waiver. Maybe that's just natural selection, culling the herd at its simplest form, and maybe they should just let that happen, and the people with half a brain can stay at home and not expose themselves to those people, and eventually it'll all work out. It'll be herd immunity. But
well, United Airlines said today that they're going to make people wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, you don't get on the airplane.
And what if you're halfway across the ocean and you take off the mask and say, "All right,
well,
what do you?"
I don't know what they do. Then they don't. I guess you stay there and they don't let you come back.
Right.
I don't know.
Or they drive you over the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Fly you over there. All right, that'll solve it. I told you I'd solve it. Just I had to think about it for a while.
Let's get back to the subject when I first came in, as I came in late, about getting the vote out. Okay, getting the vote out.
Muy importante.
I keep encouraging everybody to get your mail vote. Okay, and anybody's allowed to ask for a mail-in ballot, even if it's not normal, because you're allowed to ask for a ballot and say that I'm going to be away, and that's how you vote.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Florida, we can. Okay.
Well, they have early voting here. The early voting is
plus
great.
Early voting, yes.
The early voting, usually, what is it, about 10 days to 2 weeks prior to Election Day? So you could go at any time at your convenience, which is what Peggy and I have done since we moved to Florida. We early voting. You don't get stuck on any lines on Election Day. And, I guess the problem this year is finding enough people to work the election itself, that work there. But people are afraid.
Putin is looking into that. He's going to supply the workforce. He'll have a Russian at every voting booth, just to make sure, comrade, that the voting is surveyed for our boy Trump.
I tell you, I'm just one of those people that likes to see my ballot put into the machine. I don't trust anybody. More and more every day. I mean, you get a Newman-type mailman, and your ballot's in the trash. You just don't know. So I just like to see my ballot put right in the machine by my own hand.
Well, the optimist in me says there's no way Trump will be elected. And the pragmatist says we still have something, let's see it through. It ain't a sealed deal until the votes are counted. You would think, who's going to vote for this guy at this point? But you can't underestimate the stupidity of folks that are going to sign those waivers, as an example, and have the thrill of the excitement of seeing Trump up close next to 80 of your favorite closed-in people. People are nuts. What can I tell you? So who they'll vote for is
I'm back.
Somebody. Oh, okay. Well, you got to hear me not ramble, which was nice.
I don't know. All of a sudden, I got a busy signal.
All right. Wow, indeed. What that's about, I don't know. Mert, your thoughts?
My thoughts? General?
Some of your thoughts about what's going on.
I tell you, as far as the mask situation, I've noticed that a place like Publix, which is a high-end supermarket, I've seen just about everybody wearing a mask. Just about very, very few customers in there that aren't wearing a mask. However,
is there a procedure? Is there do they tell you at the door? Is there a sign-in thing? Okay,
no,
here there
nothing.
is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. No. In Publix, no. They do wipe down the carts that are put back. You know, they
right.
wipe them down with antiseptic or whatever. And you know, the first thing I do when I get back in the car is use the hand sanitizer.
Yep.
That's the first thing I do. So, you know, I think I'm pretty safe. But to continue my thought, you go to a lower class store like Walmart, which I also go to. And the reason I go to Walmart is that the prices are so much lower than Publix. When you're buying like packaged things, you know, cans, packages,
right.
You know, I'm not talking the fresh stuff. The fresh stuff is better, you know, at the better supermarket. But when I go there, you could see that many are not wearing the mask. Now, all the employees are, but I'm talking about the customers. A lot of them are not wearing the masks, you know. And, you know, look, as far as everything else that's going on, you know, I can't blame any of these people that are out protesting. And this is finally reached a point that they just have to say something. You've had, in the last couple of weeks, you've had George Floyd, who started this whole thing. Well, even before him, you had that kid that was jogging in Georgia someplace in his neighborhood.
Right.
That ended up getting shot by some neighbors, you know. And
now you got 250 years of this bullshit. You got Medgar Evers. You got.
Yeah, and then on top of it, just the one in Atlanta yesterday.
Right.
Where they're talking to the guy for 40 minutes, and they give him, he fails a sobriety test, and they try to cuff him, and he says, "Oh shit, they're going to cuff me. What are they going to do after that?" So he tries to run, and they shoot him.
Yep.
You know?
Right.
I can understand that. The guy
he
probably
fired back the taser, which was not deemed not to be a deadly weapon when a cop has a taser, but now it's a deadly weapon that allows a cop to shoot a guy for using it, but it's not deadly force. So the police departments nationwide, probably worldwide, need reformation. If that includes tearing it down and starting all over again, you can't do that. It's
okay,
just
what it is, okay, it's the police culture, okay? It's not the individual policemen. Most of them are good, okay? It's the police culture and the police unions. You guys probably don't know this. I was a police officer for 3 years in Tampa in the late 80s, okay? And I can speak, and the reason why I left was when my wife got pregnant, and we had that talk. But that's a subject for another night. But it's the culture. The culture has not changed throughout the years. And the unions, you know, these union guys are old-time, when we used to be able to kick ass and, you know, not worry about it, they're still running the unions. So it's the culture. You know, I get upset when everybody says, no, it's every police officer. It's not.
No.
Okay? But reform has to be done, and the culture has to be changed.
Well, they need massive retraining. Massive retraining. Maybe
yes.
every single guy.
Well, down here in Florida, okay, it takes, I think they said 2 years of training to become a barber, okay? All you have to do is do 5 months in the academy to be a police officer.
Jesus.
Okay? Wow.
And I can tell you, like, from my experience, okay, their psychological test that you take is a written exam for the most part, where they ask the stupidest questions, okay, that have nothing to do with, your mental state. So,
well, they want to know if you're a go-along to get along kind of person. Are you going to be able to adapt to that culture? Are you going to question it? And that kind of shit needs reforming.
Yes.
They can't.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. Okay, but the culture has to change. The unions, okay, have to be dealt with. That's what leads all this. I mean, just like the baseball union. We're talking about the baseball union. Okay, majority of the regular players want to play. Okay, most of them aren't the multi-millionaires. These are guys that are making whatever the minimum wage is for a lot of them. Okay,
they're struggling on $500,000 a year.
Yeah, $500,000 minimum wage, not bad.
I have a little violin going as we speak.
But trust me, those guys want to play because that $500,000, they're used to living on that. Okay, and that goes pretty
right.
Good.
They're used to living on $650, making $500,000, living on $650. And that's what the problem with society is. All of us living, not Mert, but living over their heads.
Little do you know, Ralph. I'm just like everybody else. A lot of it thanks to my wife, but I won't say that very loud.
No, I wouldn't. Peg likes the show. Let's not give her. I find if they like the show, let them like the show.
She likes to shop, too. So.
Oh, and then she likes to shop, too. Well, who doesn't? Me of 80 ball caps and 1,200 gray hoodies and a lot of sticks and stems and that's my legacy. That's what I'm gonna. If that ever comes back, though, whoa, wow, stems and seeds. They'll be knocking at my door. They'll be saying, "Tyko, what smells in there? Are you burning stems and seeds? We want some." And I'll say, "Bring your thousands, bring your hundreds, make an offer. Stems and seeds. That's what I've got." All right. So you were a cop, huh? How?
Yes,
your wife gets pregnant. What was the talk about? Got to know.
Okay. The talk was, me coming home one night after another cop had gotten shot and killed, and finding her in tears, and she says, "I just can't do this." So I said, "Okay, then I did my little thing. That's what I wanted to do, and it wasn't worth her getting upset or us breaking up and stuff. So I walked away."
Well, let me tell you something, Robert. This is interesting. About maybe 3 months ago, we were having a conversation, and the question got around to something that involved a happy wife. Life is a happy wife.
Yes.
You remember that, Robert?
Yes,
saying
I do.
That?
Yes,
okay. Sir. So I think about those things, and I want you to know that part of the drastic reduction in number of shows coming out of Comfortably Zoned was that got to make people around you happy with other things than than sports. So I listened to the words of Robert Cole. A happy life is a happy wife.
Is a happy life.
Is a happy wife. See, I'm dyslexic about that.
Happy spouse, happy house too.
Yeah, right. That's right. I certainly understand that. Was that a partner of yours or somebody that you were?
No, just another officer who I didn't know or anything.
But she read about it or heard about it.
Well, it was over the news, you know. So, you know, it was a headline. You know, it was one of the first Tampa police officers that had been shot in a bunch of years. So.
Yeah.
And
Tampa and police. Did you ever run into Doc?
Doc Gooden? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because back in those days, he was having an awful lot of problems with the Tampa Police Department.
Yes, he was.
So, again, he's in rehab, and again, I want to say that is one sweet guy who's fucked up, is all. And he shouldn't be judged. He's sick, but not evil. Where
you have, you know, if you saw where he came from, okay, and it hasn't changed, and that's part of the problem, okay, especially here in Florida, okay, of what's going on. I mean, you know, they burned down a bunch of places right after, you know, the George Floyd thing. They had a lot of looting and, you know, fires burning in Tampa, you know, on the main thoroughfare, East Fowler Avenue. They were burning places down. And it's understandable, okay, when you see it. A lot of people don't understand it. And it was not even the majority of the protesters. You know, that's what gets me crazy online, you know, on Facebook and stuff, is everybody is judged by the looting. You know, the majority of the people there aren't looting. You know, you have those few that come out of the woodwork just waiting for things like this so they can start problems.
Right. The majority can't breathe at this point. Seriously. They're at the point where what do you do? If I was raising Philip and he was at an age where even a concern going to the store, going here, is he going to come back? You're going to have to teach him how to interact with cops, not just to not get a ticket. I taught traffic school, so I teach people in those days not to get a ticket or to not to have problems adjudicated with the judge, this, that, and the other thing. But I wasn't thinking of fighting for your life until I started listening to my students who were of color. And the stories were unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, these are a bunch of thugs or this, that, and the other thing, no, first of all, they're a bunch of thugs because of their education and what they've gotten from the system. And that's due to 250 years of prejudice and catching up and who got the good teachers and what have you. But people are human, and they are at the point where we're seeing this with these demonstrations. They don't go away. They didn't go away after Floyd was killed for 2 or 3 weeks until this kid was killed.
Well, yeah, they still didn't go away. I mean, they were still protesting.
No, right. But it wasn't something like, in other words, yes, they were still protesting between killings, and with the protesting, there was another senseless killing.
Right.
And now that was in all the papers, and every cop that walked in that day was reminded in some way of that. It was, I mean, when is it going to stop? Is there going to be another one now?
Probably will. Matter of when.
Yeah. Yep. That's why, there has to be reform, and the other thing is, there is no one leading right now. Okay? We don't have a leader. Okay? He is so many steps behind. Okay? He's going to come out tomorrow with one of his presidential, whatever he calls it, on police reform. Okay? Where has he been for the last 3 weeks?
Yeah. Hey, Robert, I have a cop question for you. When does a seemingly good cop, like you say, most of them are good,
right?
When does he or she cross the line to not being a good cop? Not for what they did, for what they saw and let go by.
Well, let me kind of explain it this way to you. All right, we grow up. Okay, we're in elementary school. Okay, and teachers writing on the blackboard, and little Johnny throws a spitball, hits the teacher in the back of the head. Okay. She turns around. Who did it? Well, everybody stays quiet. Okay, nobody wants to be the one, to point it out. And it's usually one of the girls that points it out. And this just keeps on going and going and going. Now, when I was on the police department, our entire circle of friends were all first responders. Retired cops, current cops, jail guards, EMTs, firemen, because you kind of get drawn into that, and that's all you know, okay, because you have each other's backs. Other people don't want to really know what goes on. And you withdraw. So for 4 years, that was our entire circle of friends, was other police officers, and like I said, first responders. And
right.
It just becomes so tight that, you see something, but it's not really that bad. And, I don't want to be the guy that says something. And I go back to the union. Okay, the unions pound you and pound you and pound you about how you got to watch over each other. If something happens, it has to stay within. It happens within the department, has to stay in the department. And that's part of that culture. And that's going to be very difficult to change unless you get into the unions and, you change that culture. That guy in Minneapolis, okay? You guys have heard him talk. I mean, the guy's a lunatic. The guy's an absolute lunatic. And he should not be, negotiating the contracts and stuff. And, the talk there is that's where you start. You don't defund the whole police department. You stop negotiating with the union. And, the good cops will stay, the bad cops will go. One of the biggest problems, and you hear all the police chiefs and all the police commissioners saying, if I fire a bad cop, he goes a couple of towns over and he gets hired. And that's the problem. You check the records of some of these guys that have gotten their tits in the ringer now with some of this stuff. Okay, some of them have had 18, 20 different complaints against them.
But you don't know the other cops and how many complaints they've had. Maybe 18 complaints is doing a good job. Maybe the other cops have 30.
That's why that has to be made transparent.
Right.
Okay?
With every cop.
Yes, every cop. Okay? Most of them, okay, we'll be fine because most of them, don't have problems. The ones that have the problems continually have problems, and I say that from firsthand experience too. I mean, the same guys are the ones that are constantly getting reprimanded and are constantly being, talked to. But the union has such a protection over them that a lot of the police chiefs have their hands tied. They can't do anything.
And aren't they judged by convictions and arrests and what have you, as well as reprimands?
Not really. I mean, that old, wives' tale of, you got to have so many traffic tickets, per month and stuff like that. That's just an old wives' tale. And no, you're not judged on the amount of arrests you made, although in some cases those are the guys that get promotions, unfortunately. And, that, again, is part of the systemic problems in the police department.
Well, then you are judged by the amount of arrests you made. They give you more money when you're promoted.
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean,
In other words, it's prestigious to become promoted.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And
so then, if that's a big part of it, the arrests you make, then they're basically working on the commission system. I know when I taught traffic school, the hierarchy of the highway patrol, for instance, didn't care about the number of tickets you issued, but they did want you to make 10 approaches a night. So what becomes of that, they're not judging, but they are going to tell you that to be successful in, to be not reprimanded, you got to go up to 10 cars at night for one reason or another.
Well, we were never told that. I've never been involved with that or, heard anything like that. I'm not saying that it's not true. It might be.
Okay, well, states are different, and highway patrol is specifically traffic. But they definitely want you to write tickets out there. Let's put it that way. In California, at least.
Okay, well,
that's part of it.
Again, with highway patrol, I guess that's what they're doing. So I guess, maybe that might be the case. But I know we were never told, well, you have to stop X amount of people or, make this X amount of arrests or anything like that.
Just approaches so that a cop isn't going to ride around all night. Because you make an approach, that's where you're in the most danger as a policeman. Am I correct? You're going up to somebody's window and knocking on. Okay, yes. So instinctively, you're going to want to arrange not to have to do that unless it's necessary, right?
Especially in an open carry state.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A tough job, very underappreciated.
The two most dangerous things are traffic stops and being called out on a domestic.
Yes, you read about that.
Those are the two most dangerous.
What police shows do you watch, Robert?
None right now because they've all been taken off the air.
Has Chicago PD been taken off the air?
I believe every single one.
Just in summer reruns. Oh, I mean, there's no summer reruns in those?
No, Live PD has been taken off the air. Cops
PD.
has been canceled. Okay, Cops has been on for something like 32 years.
Well, that's those reality type shows you're talking about.
No, those are the real cop shows.
The real cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they still have the scripted ones on.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the scripted ones now are so realistic it's scary. Chicago PD is very realistic. A lot of breaking the rules, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, those shows I don't watch. I did watch Cops, and I did watch Live PD at times.
Did you watch Law and Order?
No.
Okay. You know, I'll tell you what you're not watching is baseball.
Well, actually, right now I am. I'm watching a game from last year, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Miami Marlins. And the Rays just went ahead 8-6.
Nice. They were talking on Facebook about are you watching the Korean League? And it reminded me of when we were kids. Do you remember, Marty, watching on Saturdays from Puerto Rico? They'd have the Winter Leagues.
I remember.
Oh, yeah. That's right. They had the Winter Leagues.
I remember seeing Willie at Santurce or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. The one guy I remember, the name I remember, is Nap Reyes, one of the managers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
That
I mean, they'd announce it in Spanish, and as proficient in Spanish as I was unable. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
The only reason why I took Spanish was because of the Spanish teacher. And she was hot.
Her name was not Hazel.
No.
No.
No, definitely not.
Not Hazel.
Oh, God.
I wonder where she is now. She's probably the head of some translating service. That Victor, take him down to the dean.
Oh,
Victor, what? Alicia, take Mr. Tyko down. You made Victor laugh. Victor Del Greco would just break up on purpose. I'd whisper to him, and he'd break up. What are you laughing at, Victor? Tyko made me laugh.
So that's where that all started.
It started well before then, when I found out at a very early age. Get a laugh to keep from crying. I found out I wasn't adopted. So, but that's fodder for another talk show and another podcast. Thank you guys for breaking up the non-baseball season.
All right, Ralph. Be well.
All
Robert, take care.
Yep, you too. Stay safe, guys.
It's fun as usual. Thank you for the police report.
You're welcome.
All right. Stay healthy, guys, and thank you for listening, everyone. It's the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Adios.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned Network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.